The year was 2147, and Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined a century ago. Humans had built cities on Mars, mined ice from Saturn's rings, and even set up research stations on Titan. But despite all their progress, there was still one thing humanity hadn't faced yet: a real threat from beyond the stars. For years, astronomers had been tracking something strange at the edge of the solar system. It wasn't a comet or an asteroid. It was something far more dangerous. Deep inside a dimly lit conference room in Geneva, Switzerland, Nathan Blake sat slouched in his chair, staring blankly at the wall. He didn't want to be here. The last thing he needed was to get involved in some government project. His life was simple enough, working on engineering projects from his small home in Colorado, avoiding people as much as possible. But this meeting wasn't optional. Laura Hayes, the director of the United Nations Space Council, UNSC, had personally requested him. And when someone like Laura Hayes called, you didn't say no. Laura stood at the front of the room, her sharp eyes scanning the group of scientists and military personnel gathered around the table. On the large screen behind her was an image of the mysterious object, or rather, objects, at the edge of the Oort cloud. Dozens of them, moving steadily toward the inner solar system. They were too organized, too deliberate to be natural. These are not random asteroids, Laura said firmly, pointing at the screen. We believe they are ships. Alien ships, and if our calculations are correct, they will reach Earth within 2 years. A murmur rippled through the room. Some looked skeptical, others terrified. Nathan kept his face neutral, though his mind raced. If what she was saying was true, humanity was in serious trouble. Earth's defenses were laughable compared to what these aliens might bring. Missiles and fighter jets wouldn't stand a chance against technology capable of crossing light years. Laura turned her gaze to Nathan. Mr. Blake, I brought you here because we need your expertise. Your work on faster-than-light propulsion systems has caught our attention. We believe it could be the key to leveling the playing field. Nathan shifted uncomfortably in his seat. My designs are theoretical, he said, his voice low but steady. I haven't even tested them yet. That's why you're here, Laura replied without missing a beat. You'll have everything you need: resources, funding, personnel, whatever it takes. Nathan wanted to argue, to tell her she was crazy for thinking he could pull off something so monumental in such a short time. But deep down, he knew she was right. If Earth stood any chance against whatever was coming, it would need a miracle. And maybe, just maybe, he could deliver one. As the meeting ended, Nathan walked out into the cold Swiss evening, his thoughts heavy. He glanced up at the night sky, where countless stars twinkled in the distance. Somewhere out there, danger was approaching. Whether humanity was ready or not, the universe had finally decided to pay attention. And now, it was up to people like him to make sure Earth wasn't wiped out before it even had a fighting chance. Nathan Blake stood in front of a whiteboard covered in scribbles, diagrams, and equations. The room smelled faintly of coffee and frustration. Around him, a group of people sat at a long table, their faces a mix of curiosity and skepticism. These were the individuals Laura Hayes had chosen to help Nathan bring his vision to life. A team that would either save humanity or fail spectacularly. This is Rachel Dawson, Laura said, gesturing toward a woman with short brown hair and an air of confidence. She's one of our best test pilots. If anyone can handle whatever you're building, it's her. Rachel gave Nathan a quick nod, her sharp green eyes scanning him as if trying to decide whether he was worth her time. Nathan didn't blame her. He wasn't sure he trusted himself either. Still, he managed a polite smile before turning back to Laura. And this is Ethan Cole, Laura continued, pointing to a young man with messy black hair and glasses that seemed too big for his face. Ethan specializes in astrophysics, and his research on dark matter might be crucial for powering your ship. Ethan grinned nervously, fiddling with the pen in his hand. I've read about your work on FTL drives, he said, his voice tinged with excitement. It's incredible. I think we can make it work." Nathan felt a flicker of hope, but quickly pushed it aside. Hope wouldn't build a starship. It wouldn't stop the alien fleet heading toward Earth. What they needed was action, and fast. Laura introduced 2 more members of the team. Maria Lopez, a robotics expert who spoke softly but carried herself with quiet authority, and Daniel Carter, a former Marine with broad shoulders and a no-nonsense attitude. Daniel crossed his arms and leaned back in his chair, studying Nathan like he was sizing up an opponent. "So, what's the plan?" Rachel asked, breaking the silence. Her tone was direct, almost challenging. "You've got us all here. Now what?" Nathan hesitated, glancing at the board behind him. He hadn't expected to explain everything so soon, but there was no time to waste. Taking a deep breath, he began sketching out his ideas. "We need to build something bigger than anything humanity has ever attempted. A starship capable of fighting back against those aliens. Not just a battleship, but a destroyer. Something fast, powerful, and smart enough to adapt in combat." Maria raised an eyebrow. "Smart? You mean artificial intelligence?" "Yes," Nathan replied. "A fully autonomous ag core to manage systems, analyze threats, and assist the crew in real time." "That's where you come in, Maria. We'll need your expertise to design it." Maria nodded thoughtfully, jotting down notes. Meanwhile, Ethan leaned forward, his eyes lighting up. "If we combine your FTL drive concept with my dark matter theories, we could create an engine unlike anything we've seen before. Unlimited energy, faster speeds. We might actually stand a chance." Daniel cleared his throat, drawing everyone's attention. "All this talk about engines and AI is great, but don't forget we'll also need weapons. And armor. Whatever these aliens are flying, it's not going to be easy to take down." "Agreed," Nathan said, "which is why we'll focus on plasma-based weaponry, high-energy beams that can cut through almost anything. But we'll also need shielding, cloaking tech, and backup systems. Redundancy will be key." As the discussion went on, Nathan noticed something interesting. Despite their differences, the team seemed to click. Rachel challenged his ideas, pushing him to think harder. Ethan bounced theories off Maria, who offered practical solutions. Even Daniel, who initially seemed skeptical, started contributing tactical insights based on his military experience. By the end of the meeting, Nathan felt a strange sense of optimism. They weren't just a random group thrown together. They were a team. For the first time since this nightmare began, he allowed himself to believe they might actually pull it off. But deep down, he knew the road ahead would be anything but smooth. The secret facility beneath the Nevada desert was unlike anything Nathan Blake had ever seen. It stretched for miles, a labyrinth of labs, workshops, and testing chambers buried deep underground. The air buzzed with activity as engineers and technicians worked around the clock, their faces illuminated by the glow of computer screens and welding torches. This was where humanity's last hope would be built, or fail entirely. Nathan stood in the center of the main hangar, staring at the skeletal frame of the ship they were calling Aegis Asterisk. It wasn't much to look at yet, just a massive steel skeleton surrounded by scaffolding. But he could already picture it complete, sleek, powerful, and bristling with weapons. It would be Earth's first Stardestroyer, or so he hoped. For now, it was just an idea taking shape, one piece at a time. Rachel Dawson walked up beside him, her arms crossed as she studied the structure. "It's going to be huge," she said, her tone a mix of awe and disbelief. "Do you really think we can finish it in time?" "We don't have a choice," Nathan replied, his voice firm despite the doubt gnawing at him. "If we don't, Earth won't stand a chance." Rachel nodded but didn't say anything more. She turned and headed toward the flight simulator, leaving Nathan alone with his thoughts. He knew she was right to question the timeline. Building a ship like this should take decades, not months. But they didn't have decades. The alien fleet was getting closer every day. Nearby, Ethan Cole was hunched over a desk, surrounded by papers and holographic projections. His fingers danced across a tablet as he ran calculations for the dark matter engine. Maria Lopes sat beside him, offering suggestions while working on designs for the AI core they were calling Athena. Their partnership was starting to show results, but progress was slow. Every breakthrough seemed to come with new problems. Daniel Carter appeared from the direction of the weapons lab, his face grim. "We've got issues with the plasma cannons," he said, stopping in front of Nathan. "The energy output is unstable. If we fire them now, they could blow up in our faces." Nathan sighed, rubbing his temples. "What about the shielding? Any luck there?" "Some," Daniel admitted, "but it's not enough. We're still vulnerable to whatever those aliens are packing." The weight of responsibility pressed down on Nathan. He felt like he was juggling too many things at once, each one threatening to slip through his fingers. Supplies were running low, equipment kept breaking down, and tensions among the team were rising. A few days ago, Rachel had snapped at Ethan during a meeting, accusing him of being too focused on theory and not enough on practical solutions. Ethan had fired back, and it took Maria stepping in to calm them down. Despite the challenges, there were moments of hope. One evening, after hours of troubleshooting, Maria finally activated a prototype of Athena. The AI's voice filled the room, calm and measured. "Hello, team. I am ready to assist." Everyone froze, staring at the console in stunned silence. Then, slowly, smiles spread across their faces. It was a small victory, but it reminded them why they were here. As weeks turned into months, the pieces of Aegis began to come together. The hull took shape, gleaming silver under the hangar lights. The engines roared to life during initial tests, sending vibrations through the floor. Plasma cannons were mounted along the wings, and the cloaking device passed its first trial. But doubts lingered. Were they building something strong enough to face the unknown? Or were they simply delaying the inevitable? Nathan tried not to dwell on those questions. Instead, he focused on the work, trusting that if they gave it everything they had, they might just stand a chance. The months dragged on, and the pressure inside the Nevada facility grew heavier with each passing day. Nathan Blake could feel it in the air, a mix of exhaustion, frustration, and quiet determination. The team had made progress, but not enough. Every small victory was followed by setbacks that tested their patience and resolve. One afternoon, Rachel Dawson climbed into the cockpit of the prototype engine module for another test flight. She adjusted her helmet, checked the controls, and gave a thumbs up to the engineers watching from below. "All right, let's see what this thing can do," she said over the comms. Nathan stood near the observation window, his arms crossed as he watched the countdown begin. Ethan Cole leaned against the wall nearby, chewing nervously on his thumbnail. Maria Lopes sat at a workstation, monitoring data streams while Daniel Carter paced back and forth like a caged animal. The engines roared to life, and the module shot forward, leaving trails of light behind it. For a moment, everything seemed fine. But then, alarms blared through the hangar. On the monitors, warning lights flashed red as the ship veered off course. "What's happening?" Nathan demanded, stepping closer to Maria's station. "It's the stabilizers," Maria replied, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "They're failing." Rachel's voice crackled over the comms. "I've got no control." "Repeat, I've lost control." "Shut down the engines," Daniel shouted, pointing toward the console. "No," Ethan interrupted. "If we shut them down now, she'll crash." Nathan clenched his fists, torn between trusting Ethan's instincts or playing it safe. Finally, he nodded at Maria. "Do whatever you have to do to stabilize it." Maria worked quickly, rerouting power and recalibrating systems. Slowly, the module steadied itself, drifting back toward the landing pad. When it touched down, everyone exhaled in relief. Rachel climbed out, her face pale but calm. "That was close," she said, brushing dust off her suit. "What went wrong?" Daniel frowned, inspecting the damage to the module. Looks like a faulty connection in the stabilizer array. Easy fix, but it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have, Nathan agreed, his tone sharp. We need to double-check every system before we even think about testing again. As repairs began, tensions flared. Daniel accused the engineering team of cutting corners, while Rachel argued that they needed better safety protocols. Ethan tried to mediate, but his soft-spoken nature only seemed to irritate Daniel further. Maria stayed quiet, focusing on Athena's programming to avoid getting pulled into the argument. Later that night, Nathan found himself alone in the main hangar, staring up at the incomplete frame of Aegis **. He wondered if they were fooling themselves, if this ship would ever be ready in time. Just as he was about to leave, Ethan approached him, holding a tablet. "I've been running simulations," Ethan said, his voice hesitant. "And I think I know why the alien fleet is moving so fast." Nathan turned to him, intrigued. "Why?" "They're accelerating," Ethan explained, pulling up graphs on the tablet. "It's subtle, but their speed has increased over the past few weeks. If they keep this up, they'll reach Earth sooner than we thought. Maybe within 8 months instead of 2 years. Nathan felt a chill run down his spine. 8 months wasn't nearly enough time. They were barely halfway through building Aegis **, and now the deadline had moved up dramatically. "We need to push harder," Nathan said, his voice firm. "Tell the team we're working around the clock from now on. No breaks, no excuses." Ethan nodded, though his expression showed doubt. "Do you really think we can finish in time?" "I don't know," Nathan admitted. "But we have to try. If we don't, Earth won't stand a chance." As Ethan walked away, Nathan looked back at the ship. It still looked unfinished, fragile even. But somewhere deep inside, he held onto a sliver of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could pull it off. And if they didn't, at least they'd go down fighting. The weeks that followed were a blur of sleepless nights, endless testing, and moments of both triumph and failure. Slowly but surely, Aegis * began to take its final form. The once skeletal frame was now a sleek, gleaming vessel, its surface polished to reflect the harsh lights of the hangar. Weapon systems lined its wings, plasma cannons ready to unleash devastation, while the cloaking device shimmered faintly during trials. At its core, Athena hummed softly, her artificial mind processing data faster than any human could. Nathan Blake stood in the control room, watching as the last pieces of the ship came together. His hands trembled slightly from exhaustion, but his eyes remained sharp, scanning every detail. He couldn't afford mistakes. Not now, not when time was running out. Rachel Dawson entered the room, her boots clicking against the metal floor. She carried a clipboard, her expression unreadable. "We're almost there," she said, glancing at him. "Another week, maybe 2, and we'll be ready for launch." Nathan nodded, though doubt lingered in his mind. "Do you think it's enough? Will it work?" Rachel hesitated before answering. "It has to. There's no backup plan." Her words hung heavy in the air, but Nathan knew she was right. This wasn't just about building a ship. It was about Earth's survival. If Aegis * failed, humanity would face annihilation. Ethan Cole burst into the room, his face flushed with excitement. "You need to see this," he exclaimed, waving a tablet. On the screen was a graph showing energy readings from the dark matter engine. "The output is stable. Not only that, but it's exceeding expectations. We can push Aegis * to speeds we didn't think possible." Maria Lopes joined them, her arms crossed, but a small smile tugging at her lips. "Athena's been running simulations nonstop. She says the engine will hold up under full load. No overheating, no failures." For the first time in months, Nathan felt a flicker of genuine hope. Maybe they really could pull this off. But before anyone could celebrate, Daniel Carter walked in, his usual scowl deeper than ever. "Don't get too comfortable," he warned. "We still have problems with the shielding. It's strong, but not strong enough to handle whatever those aliens are packing." One direct hit, and we're done. The room fell silent. Daniel's words were sobering, a reminder that even their best efforts might not be enough. Nathan rubbed his temples, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. They had come so far, but the smallest flaw could cost them everything. That evening, the entire team gathered in the hangar for what Laura Hayes called a moment of reflection. Standing beneath the towering form of Aegis *, they stared up at the ship in awe. It was a marvel of engineering, a testament to what humanity could achieve when pushed to its limits. Yet, it was also a symbol of fear, a desperate attempt to stave off extinction. Laura stepped forward, her voice steady but filled with emotion. This isn't just a ship. It's our future. Everything we've worked for, everything we've sacrificed, comes down to this. When Aegis launches, it won't just carry weapons and technology. It will carry our hopes, our dreams, and our determination to survive. Her words struck a chord with everyone. Even Daniel, who rarely showed emotion, looked touched. Maria wiped away a tear, while Ethan gripped his tablet tightly, pride swelling in his chest. Rachel glanced at Nathan, giving him a small nod of reassurance. As the group dispersed, Nathan stayed behind, gazing up at Aegis *. For all its power and potential, it still felt fragile to him, a fragile hope against an overwhelming threat. But it was hope nonetheless. And sometimes, hope was all you needed to keep moving forward. The day of the launch finally arrived, and the world held its breath. News outlets broadcasted live from every corner of the globe, showing images of Aegis * as it sat on the launch pad, bathed in the golden light of the rising sun. Millions watched, their eyes glued to screens, praying for success. For many, this moment represented humanity's last stand, a chance to prove that Earth would not go down without a fight. Inside the command center, Nathan Blake stood beside Laura Hayes, his heart pounding in his chest. He had imagined this moment countless times, but now that it was here, he felt a strange mix of pride and fear. The ship was ready, or as ready as it could be, but the real test lay ahead. Would it perform as designed, or would it crumble under the pressure of battle? Rachel Dawson sat in the cockpit of Aegis *, running final checks on the controls. Her hands moved quickly, flipping switches and adjusting dials. She tried to focus, but her mind kept drifting to the enormity of what she was about to do. If everything went according to plan, she would pilot humanity's first Stardestroyer into deep space, facing an enemy no one truly understood. It was terrifying, but also exhilarating. Ethan Cole and Maria Lopes were stationed in the engineering bay, monitoring systems and ensuring Athena was fully operational. The AI's calm voice echoed through the ship, reporting status updates. All systems nominal. Plasma cannons armed. Cloaking device active. Ethan couldn't help but smile. Despite all the challenges, they had done it. They had built something incredible. Daniel Carter stood near the weapons console, his jaw tight with tension. He knew better than anyone how dangerous the Verk fleet could be. His job was to make sure Aegis * was prepared for anything. As he reviewed tactical plans, he muttered to himself, "If those aliens think they can roll over us, they're in for a surprise." At exactly 800 hours, the countdown began. Nathan watched from the observation deck as the engines roared to life, shaking the ground beneath his feet. Flames erupted from the thrusters, bathing the area in orange light. Rachel's voice came over the comms, steady and confident. "This is Aegis *, ready for departure." "Good luck out there," Laura said, her voice breaking slightly. "Bring us back some good news." With a deafening roar, Aegis * lifted off the pad, climbing higher and higher into the sky. Cameras captured the moment as it pierced the clouds, leaving Earth behind. For the first time in history, humanity had sent a fully armed starship into space, not just to explore, but to defend. As Aegis * entered orbit, Rachel guided it into position, preparing for the long journey ahead. Then, something unexpected happened. Sensors picked up strange readings, small ships moving toward them at incredible speeds. They weren't part of the main Verk fleet. These were scouts, sent ahead to probe Earth's defenses. Nathan's voice crackled over the comms. "Rachel, we've got incoming. 3 unidentified vessels approaching your position." Rachel's grip tightened on the controls. "Copy that." Activating cloaking device. The ship shimmered and disappeared from view, blending seamlessly into the void of space. Through the viewport, Rachel spotted the alien scouts. Strange, insect-like machines with jagged edges and glowing red cores. They floated silently, scanning the area. "They haven't seen us yet," Maria reported from the engineering bay. "But they're getting closer." "What are our options?" Ethan asked, his voice tinged with panic. "We wait," Rachel replied firmly. "Let them pass. We don't engage unless we have to." For several tense minutes, the crew held their breath, watching as the alien scouts drifted by. But then, one of them turned sharply, heading straight for Aegis *. Somehow, it had detected them. "They know we're here," Daniel shouted. "Weapons online." Rachel didn't hesitate. Activating plasma cannons. Target locked. The first shot rang out, tearing through the scout ship and reducing it to debris. The other 2 immediately retaliated, firing beams of energy that rocked Aegis *. Alarms blared as the crew scrambled to respond. "This is it," Nathan whispered, gripping the railing in the control center. "The first real test." And just like that, humanity's fight for survival began. The battle erupted in chaos. Rachel Dawson's hands flew across the controls as she maneuvered Aegis * through a storm of enemy fire. The alien scout ships moved with unnatural speed, their glowing red cores pulsing like angry eyes. Plasma beams streaked past the viewport, narrowly missing the ship. Every second felt like an eternity. "Shields at 70%. Daniel Carter's voice crackled over the comms from the weapons bay. "We can't take much more of this." Rachel gritted her teeth, pushing Aegis * to its limits. She executed a sharp turn, dodging another blast before returning fire. The plasma cannons roared, sending a bolt of energy straight into one of the scouts. It exploded in a burst of light, debris scattering into the void. "1 down, 2 to go," she muttered under her breath. In the engineering bay, Ethan Cole and Maria Lopes worked frantically to keep the ship running. Alarms blared as systems overloaded, but Athena's calm voice cut through the noise. Redirecting auxiliary power to shields. Compensating for damage to starboard wing. Come on, Ethan whispered, his fingers flying over the keyboard. He glanced at Maria, who was focused on rerouting energy to the engines. Sweat dripped down her face, but she didn't stop moving. "They're targeting the engines," Maria shouted. "If they hit us again, we'll lose thrust." Rachel heard the warning and acted quickly. She activated the cloaking device, making Aegis * disappear from view once more. The remaining 2 scouts paused, their movements erratic as they searched for the invisible threat. "Hold steady," Nathan Blake said over the comms, his voice tense but controlled. "Let them think we're gone." For a few precious moments, the aliens hesitated. But then, one of the scouts fired blindly, its beam striking near Aegis *. The impact shook the ship violently, throwing Ethan off balance. Sparks flew from a nearby console, and smoke filled the air. "We've lost cloaking," Maria yelled. "They know where we are." Rachel cursed under her breath but stayed focused. She pushed the throttle forward, sending Aegis * into a high-speed spiral. The ship darted between the alien vessels, narrowly avoiding their attacks. Daniel seized the opportunity, locking onto one of the scouts with the plasma cannons. "Fire," he commanded. A brilliant flash lit up the darkness as the second scout disintegrated. Only one remained now, but it was smarter than the others. Instead of charging recklessly, it kept its distance, firing precise shots that tested Aegis defenses. "We're losing power," Ethan warned. "Shields are down to 20%. Rachel knew they couldn't keep this up much longer. Thinking fast, she activated the dark matter engine, pushing Aegis to speeds it had never reached before. The ship surged forward, leaving streaks of light in its wake. The alien scout tried to follow but couldn't match the velocity. "Gotcha," Rachel said with a fierce grin. She spun the ship around, lining up the final shot. The plasma cannons fired one last time, obliterating the scout in a dazzling explosion. Silence fell over the crew as the dust settled. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, Daniel let out a shaky laugh. "We did it. We actually did it." But their relief was short-lived. As the adrenaline faded, the reality of what they had just faced sank in. These were only scouts, small, expendable ships sent ahead of the main fleet. If 3 tiny vessels could push Aegis to its limits, what chance did they have against thousands? Nathan stared at the monitors, his mind racing. They had won this round. But the war was far from over. He turned to Laura Hayes, who stood beside him in the command center. "This changes nothing," he said quietly. "The real fight is still coming." Laura nodded, her expression grim. "Then we'd better be ready." As Aegis drifted silently in space, its crew began repairs, knowing they had little time to rest. The victory was small, but it proved something important. They weren't powerless. Humanity could fight back. And if they worked together, maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to survive. Back at the command center, Nathan Blake stared at the data streaming in from Aegis. The battle with the alien scouts had been a wake-up call. These weren't just machines. They were intelligent, adaptive, and dangerous. If humanity stood any chance against the Verk fleet, they needed more than brute force. They needed a strategy. Ethan Cole approached him, holding a tablet filled with calculations. His face was pale, but his voice carried a spark of determination. "We've analyzed the trajectory of the main fleet," he said, pointing to the screen. "They're not slowing down. In fact, they're accelerating faster than we predicted." Nathan frowned. "How long do we have?" 6 months, maybe less. At this rate, they'll reach Earth before we can fully prepare." The weight of Ethan's words hit Nathan like a punch to the gut. 6 months wasn't enough time to build reinforcements or develop new technology. They had one shot, one ship, to stop an entire armada. Failure wasn't an option, but neither was waiting around for the enemy to arrive. "There's something else," Ethan added hesitantly. "The scouts' weapons. They're powered by some kind of energy we don't understand. If the main fleet has stronger versions of those weapons, Aegis might not survive a direct assault." Nathan clenched his fists. He knew Ethan was right, but dwelling on the odds wouldn't help. Instead, he turned his focus to what they could control. "We need a plan," he said firmly. "Something bold, something unexpected." Rachel Dawson walked into the room, her flight suit still stained with soot from the earlier battle. She leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "What are you thinking?" she asked. Nathan took a deep breath. "We use Aegis as bait." The room fell silent. Rachel raised an eyebrow. "Bait? You want us to lure them straight to Earth?" "No," Nathan replied quickly. "We lead them somewhere else, somewhere we can trap them. Jupiter's magnetic field could amplify our weapons. If we draw them close enough, we might be able to take out their flagship and scatter the rest of the fleet." Maria Lopes joined the conversation, her tone cautious. "It's risky. If anything goes wrong, we won't have backup." "I know," Nathan admitted, "but it's our best shot. We can't fight them head-on. Not yet. This way, we level the playing field." Laura Hayes listened quietly, her expression unreadable. Finally, she nodded. "Do it. Prepare Aegis for the mission." But remember, this isn't just about winning. It's about buying time for Earth. Every second counts. Over the next few days, the team worked tirelessly to refine the plan. Rachel practiced evasive maneuvers in the simulator, while Daniel Carter fine-tuned the plasma cannons, ensuring they were ready for maximum output. Maria and Ethan collaborated on Athena's programming, teaching the AI to anticipate enemy movements and adapt in real time. As preparations continued, tensions ran high. Everyone knew the stakes. If they succeeded, they might cripple the Verk fleet and give humanity a fighting chance. If they failed, Earth would be left defenseless. On the eve of the mission, Nathan stood alone in the hangar, staring up at Aegis Asterisk. Its sleek surface gleamed under the lights, a testament to everything they had sacrificed to get here. He thought about the crew, their courage, their determination, and felt a flicker of hope. They weren't invincible, but they were resourceful. And sometimes that was enough. "Athena," he said softly, addressing the AI core, "we're counting on you." Her voice responded immediately, calm and reassuring. "I am ready, Nathan. Together, we will succeed." For the first time in weeks, Nathan allowed himself to believe it. Tomorrow, they would face the Verk fleet. Win or lose, they would go down fighting. For Earth, for humanity, and for the future.